And there we go. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode 2 of KC Insight, the Kantai Collection Community Talkshow. I am your host, Eeshwan, along with my co-hosts, Sol and Y7. And today we have our special guest. If you would like to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, hello, I'm Suba, also known as Tsubakura or Tuba, however people want to call me. And I'm usually active at Wikia, and most of the time at Stretchy Corner in the Reddit.
Cool. Sounds good. So we'll go ahead and get into it here. Our first topic, if I can use my extremely good production skills. There we go. So to get into a little bit of our news and current events, first off, as of the last episode, the upcoming was the Saury event. So just a quick overview of that. It already ended, what was it, a couple weeks ago?
2 weeks, I think. Yeah,
Okay.
It ended on the 18th patch.
So it ended 2 weeks ago on the 18th patch. And once again this year, we were able to fish for Saury in, what was it, World, 1-1, 1-5, all of World 3, 6-5, the actual important one. And then complete a couple of quests, and then also trade those fish in for I don't know, buckets. Everybody did it for screws. Who am I kidding? Everybody just got the screws.
Oh, really? I mean, I got buckets just for the sake of getting those food.
Okay.
Wasn't the bucket one the one that also gave you a canned mackerel?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got one of those too, just for the hell of it.
Are they functionally
I mean, why
equivalent? Are they functionally?
I think there's a bonus if you use them with another normal ration.
Huh. Interesting.
But they're basically just rations. But it's a fish-shaped ration, okay? Come on.
Yeah, it's a collector edition item. You can't miss it.
Does it have its own unique slot in the item window?
I believe
I think it's just ration, but I think it's named differently. Let me take a quick look.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, it's named differently.
I did not know that. That's cool. So, the more you know. And then previous years, 2015 just had a bunch of sonars basically. 2016 was notable. It did have a Verifgerät. That was terrible German pronunciation, but it did have a Ouija that you could get. So that was kind of important or kind of nice. And then this year, let's see. Oh yeah, we did have another Ouija available this year. And then the new Type 124 ASDIC. So what was that up against? Yeah, the banner and the TBF. So some kind of new, interesting equipment rewards this time. What did you guys all pick for that one, actually?
Asdic. But then again, I'm gonna. Oh, sorry. Oh, I was gonna just quickly comment. I am, British.
So you, of course, wanted to maintain.
I'm gonna grab all the British stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, I picked the sonar as well because I don't really need any of the other stuff.
Right. Tsuba?
Yes, same fast.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing better than getting a new sonar.
Right. I think the only reason to take the other, take the TBF, I guess, is either you weren't going to get one from the Sarah quests for some reason, or you think there will be more chances for a TBM in the future, which is, I don't know, kind of banking on future events. So.
I did the math. Well, not the math. I took a look and charted the quest rewards. The only real reason, or at least solid reason, for not picking a TBF in the Sarah quest but picking one from the third fishing quest is if you have, I believe, one aerial armament material, you wouldn't be able to pick the TBF in the Sarah quest line without missing out on one of the aerial armaments. So that was really the only situation that I could think of immediately where you would want to get the TBF instead of the ASDIC for the fishing quest.
Right. And then the other choice that some people were somewhat split apart between 2 swordfish, 2 SK2s, or the skilled crew member. I think there was some discussion on this, on do I want rare stuff or do I want to save the approximate of an average of, 8,000 bauxite, I think it is, for crafting the SK2s. But that was kind of fun. So
Some people were arguing the pilots were the best choice, actually. Because they're worth 2 medals.
I guess that could be true, but I feel like you get so many skilled crew members nowadays, especially through events.
And not
You
to
also
mention that they're actually pretty useless now that you think about it.
Yeah. Y7, did you want to say something?
I was just gonna comment. Basically what Suba just said, where everyone thinks they're really useful, but I still have like 6 of them sitting around in my inventory, and they just won't go away.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I have. Here, I'll check right now. But I mean, once you've got, the type 2 skilled, the 634 skilled, all the crane quests. Yeah, I have 4 sitting in my inventory, and I think I've made 2 skilled 21 fighters, and I just have more sitting around. So that was a kind of interesting choice there. So I think that's about it for the Saury event. Of course, as usual, the overfishing mechanics are still extremely arcane, and only Tanaka knows really how they work. But I think people had a lot of general success with the 6-5 routing, I think.
Yeah, especially the south one.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't know if it was just me, because anecdotal evidence. I don't take notes on a goddamn fishing event, but I swear the overfishing kicked in a lot harsher this year around than it was for last year.
Yeah, I don't know.
I've noticed a lot of complaints about it, about people overfishing a lot more sooner.
It's definitely
only
possible.
Getting a few, much less fish than last year.
Right. I also think I heard reports of I don't know, people being like, "Oh yeah, the overfishing's not that bad. I did like 100 runs on 1.5 and got all the fish I needed." Like, yeah, thanks. I'm not gonna do 100 1.5 runs. But that was a fun time. So I think that's about it for the Saury event. Got some screws, got some limited edition fish snacks, got a new sonar that only rankers had up till then. Next, let's go into a little bit of some patch overview. We have had 2 full patches. Well, I guess you could call them full. We've had 2 patches since the last episode. The patch on the 18th and the 25th of October. The 18th did bring in, I guess you could call it a fix. I don't know. Did they, when CVCI originally came out, did they say it was pre-implemented?
I actually don't remember that.
Okay, so I don't know if they said it was pre-implemented or not. Basically, plain proficiency was not applying at the time, but I believe it has been fixed. But we will be going into that a little bit later in our stats corner. So let's skip over that for now. Interestingly, we did have some new expeditions in Expedition Worlds. Well, only World 1 with this patch. But we now have A1, A2, and A3, which is kind of interesting. And I believe, I can't even remember off the top of my head, but I believe A2 is the one that's hour long, but GS guarantees a bucket.
No,
A2.
that's A2.
A2, okay. Yeah. So, kind of a interesting thing that I've heard. I would at minimum say it definitely replaces Expedition 4 if you're trying to do double buckets. I've also heard people of the opinion that it completely replaces 2 for a bucket expedition. What are you guys' thoughts on that? Y7?
Well, personally, I don't, unless they can figure out if it's possible to reliably get great success all the time without sparkling. I wouldn't say it replaces 2 as a bucket expedition, because unless, hey, I said you can get great success every time, that's still roughly 1 per hour versus 1 per 55 minutes, and currently it seems you need to sparkle at least 1 ship in order to get that 1 bucket. So for A2, so it doesn't seem like it's quite worth it yet, but of course it is under investigation.
Actually, I want to interject on that, because during our testings, we found out that A2 kind of behaved similar to the drum expeditions, in a way that if you meet more than the requirements suggest, you will actually have a decent chance of getting great success, even without any sparkle ships.
Do you know how much you need for it to have that good chance?
That's still under investigations, but it's roughly estimated to be around 40% without sparkled ships.
40% chance?
Yes.
for GS, and is that with the requirements being the what is it, ASW and AA?
Yeah. Well, that's kind of under
Under
kind of under
investigation.
investigations. Yeah.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
still
I mean,
some.
for all we know, there might be some factor involving LOS or fleet sum levels.
Right.
We don't know yet.
That'll definitely be interesting to see, because guaranteed buckets are always a nice thing, as opposed to, oh, I'm gonna flip a coin every half an hour. We'll see what happens. I believe
I mean, it's. Sorry, go ahead.
no.
No. You go ahead. I was just gonna. It wasn't anything of consequence.
All right.
Tsuba.
Well, so yeah, do people claiming that H2 replaces the number 2 expedition for buckets? I disagree. I mean, A2 is very good as a supplement to getting more buckets, but replacing it, that's a bit going too far.
I'd say I would probably agree with that, even if we do find out that a high chance of no sparkle success. I feel like, if you're gonna give it a 100% chance and sparkle something, I don't know, just send out 2 a couple more times. We'll have to see as investigations go on. Are A1 and A3 good for anything? I don't even remember. Is A2 2 buckets on great success or something?
A1 has a decent fuel and ammo output, but it has a very short expedition time, around roughly 25 minutes out of my head.
Yep, 25 minutes.
Right, 25 minutes.
I guess I can just pull up the actual tables. So yeah, A1 is hourly yield 108 for fuel ammo, which is, well, compared to 5 is 133. So I guess if you're going for a really good fuel and ammo return, I guess, yeah, 21's 137, 116, but then you're going to be sparkling and drumming that anyway, so interesting stuff. And then, yeah, A3 is kind of whatever, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically Expedition 2, but 2.25 hour long.
Yeah.
Which is really attractive.
Yeah, I guess that's because that's in the quarterly quest, right? The new quarterly expedition quest?
I think so. I haven't paid much attention to the quest, actually.
Right. So, A1 and A2, not really that useful, but did I say A1 and 2? A1 and A3 don't seem to be that useful. A2 possibly of some use once we nail down some of the stuff some more. Let's see. We'll go ahead and skip I guess not really skipping, but B1, the other new one that has come out in the 25th patch. So 35 minutes, and again, bucket on great success. But I believe, yeah, it does require an AV and a CL. It's a six ship expedition, right?
Yeah, it's rather expensive to run, not to mention that it also has a ridiculously high LOS requirement.
Right. So I guess I don't know if we'll be seeing that one become meta anytime soon, but interesting to keep it under constant investigation. Again, because this set of 4 quests are the first ones that have stat requirement. Well, first ones that have stat requirements, right?
Yeah, that is correct.
Except for levels, yeah.
Yeah, except for levels, obviously. So, pretty interesting. We'll see what they do in the future. Get some B2, B3, maybe CD. See if they come up with anything else that'll be useful as a new meta replacement for any of the main ones. That's all the new expeditions. So we come to the new ship, Michishio Kate. Oh wait. What did people not want me to say? They didn't want me to say K2, so I'm gonna say K2 more. So Michishio K2, rounding out the Desdiv 8 second remodels, and essentially we level 77, no blueprint required, has equal night battle power with Arashio and Oshio, is that correct?
Yep.
Okay, so
Yep.
again, we have just another basically high-tier combat DD. She can carry Daihatsu?
Yes, she's
Okay.
practically another tank carrier.
Cool. So, another tank carrier. Looks good. I believe her armor is a tad higher, but, what's 2 armor between friends? And yep. So
She's kind of like in between Ursio and Arashio. Firepower and torpedo, so good choice over like if you don't have a blueprint to spare.
right. I think it's definitely nice to have more of these, I guess, effectively S-tier destroyers that aren't blueprint required. So it makes it a lot easier to have newer people coming in not need to use as many blueprints on destroyers as soon is kind of nice.
The only downside so far is that it has a higher requirement than the other destroyers who do need a blueprint.
Right, the level requirement is the only real thing right now. So overall, not too super, nothing too super revolutionary, but rounds out Des Div 8 and gives us another good top tier destroyer. Anyone? I mean, I haven't looked through any of her K2 lines. Are any of her lines super good or anything? I mean, is she still Soon? I don't even know.
Definitely.
Okay, good
My
stuff.
senses are thinking.
Okay, good stuff.
I guess Suba's the Soon expert anyways.
Yeah, exactly. So that kind of leads into the next point a little bit, with some of these new guns and some of these gun stat changes. First of all, we have the 12.7 centimeter twin gun mount Model C Kai-2, also known as why would you use this thing over a duck gun? Anyone have any uses for it? Soul, Tuba, Y7. Yeah, so you're giving up what? You're giving up 8 AA and gaining an armor and giving up an evasion over a duck gun. So I guess if someone hasn't had gotten all 3 of the Akizuki class yet and leveled them, maybe it's a good replacement for a 3 firepower destroyer gun. But outside of that, I don't really see it being in use that much.
No, it's actually pretty useless once you have access to the duck guns.
Right.
It's basically just what you use before you have duck guns, because especially for a combined fleet, because you might not always have enough guns for your destroyers there.
Right. And then also along with that, we do have a couple of stat changes on guns. I don't have the list in front of me, but so 20.3 number 3 gained in accuracy. 20.3 number 2 gained night battle accuracy, but is that under investigation? Is it the same as the night battle of the well? Okay, hang on. First of all, I'm about to spout some bullshit probably. 20.3 unnumbered and 20.3 number 3. 20.3 number 3's night accuracy is a higher bonus. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Number 3 gives 15% night bonus compared to the 10% from the regular one.
Right. Okay, so then do we have, testing is obviously underway still. Do we have any inkling of what the number 2 bonus is like yet?
Actually, not yet, but speculations obviously pointing to a hit rate increase during a night battle.
Okay, so anything, nothing insane though, we're talking in the same range, 10-15% somewhere in there?
Nope. Except that because of those stat buffs, either the number 2 gun has a superior accuracy bonus compared to the 0.3, or the number 3 gun would be superior to the number 2 gun in every way.
Okay, so
because as of now the stats are equal, except the number 3 gun has 1 more firepower.
Oh, are the stats equivalent now? I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you can tell how much I know my numbers. Wait, I'm on the wrong day. Hold up. Number 2, number 3. Huh. Wow, that's actually, yeah, exactly equivalent. Yeah, okay, so it's a straight upgrade. Interesting. So it still seems like, again, if, still number 3s win out, assuming you have enough of them. They're still just, limited by scarcity at this point, it seems like. Let's see. So some of these other guns, Soul is linking me. The 14 centimeter twin, went up by 1 accuracy, or was that up by 1 firepower? I guess, I don't know. It doesn't really matter who uses 14 centimeter twins.
Yeah.
Both of the 15.5 triples went up Was it 1 firepower or 1 accuracy?
It was also AA stats.
Oh, okay. So AA went up. Again,
It says
I mean,
here accuracy also went up.
okay. And those are the ones that have special fit on. Is it Mogami and Oyoto? Or am I thinking of a different?
Yeah, they have a fit bonus on the heavy cruisers in general, and from what I last heard from a tweet, like modern light cruisers.
Interesting. So
Like so far, the test has only been done on Oyoto and the Agano class, and
Right.
both have been seen to have a higher accuracy.
okay. Cool. So a couple more stats around the board. Nothing too game-changing yet. And then the last thing in the 25th patch, last significant thing I should say, is the new. I guess they are technically, they're just destroyer night cut-ins, right? Or would you call them light? Well, I guess they're not even light gun cut-ins. What would you classify them as? Destroyer night cut-ins?
Wouldn't they be radar cut-ins because they use radars?
Let's just call them cut-ins. Why
Okay.
not?
So the new cut-ins from the 25th patch, but we'll also get into that a little bit later in our stats corner. So I think that's about it for the patch overview section. Let's go really quickly. Looking ahead to the fall event, which should be coming. I'm gonna avoid as much fake news as possible here. Should be coming in roughly 2 to 3 weeks. Roughly, I'm gonna put that disclaimer on there. In the past, the last 2 fall events started, I believe, what was it, the second weekend of November, which last year was the 11th on a Friday. This year, if, that's capital IF, if, not saying this is happening, if they follow the same pattern, it would be starting, wait, sorry, I just said that completely incorrectly, didn't I? Last year it was the 18th.
Yeah.
I'm stupid,
Yeah.
sorry. Ignore everything I just said. Last year it was the 18th. If it starts the same on the 3rd weekend of November, I'm going to get so much shit for this. If it starts on the same week, it would be the 17th this year, supposedly. However, the one interesting thing that a couple of people have noted is if it does start on the 17th, that's a slightly longer than usual break between patches.
Right.
Yeah, so it's, instead of a usual 2-week turn, that would be effectively 3.5 weeks since the last patch. So I'm gonna go out on a limb here on my professional Kantai Collection podcaster career here and say it's going to start either the 10th or the 17th. And that I have absolutely no basis for that other than past events, so we'll see what happens. Any of you guys have any predictions to make? Anybody want to put down $5 on when the event starts? Soul?
$5. Let's raise the stakes and make it 500.
$500. Okay, what day when do you say it's going to start, Suba?
I think it will be the 10th.
Ooh, do I? Oh. Okay, right now, we're putting it down. $500 starting on the 17th. Let's do it.
Who's folding?
I'm going to guess it's going to start when it starts.
Well, he got us both there. That's $1,000 to Soul. Y7?
Oh man, I'm bad at guessing dates. It's probably gonna be the one I don't guess.
Dude, say it's the 10th then. Say it's the 10th so I win the bet.
The 10th would be weird because wouldn't that be the weekend of Remembrance Day? I don't know if that's actually celebrated in Japan now that I think of it.
I have no idea what Remembrance Day is, so.
Remembrance Day?
Yeah.
November 11th?
November 11th.
The end of the First War? I guess that might just... Is that only like a Commonwealth thing or something?
Remembrance Day, sometimes known as Poppy Day, is a memorial day observed in Commonwealth of Nations
Oh,
member
damn
states
it.
since the end of the First World War. So, yes, your British is showing.
Yes, unfortunately, in that case, that doesn't apply at all. I have no idea. I'm gonna guess whatever. Give me a second to flip a coin.
Let me tell you,
Yeah,
I'm not paying
I'm
if I
guessing
lose.
whatever Eeshwan guessed.
What was that, Suba?
I'm not paying if I'm losing.
Yeah, no, I'm not giving you $500 either. So,
Oh wait, why not?
We don't have that many sponsors yet.
Yeah, no, yet. If anybody wants to sponsor our podcast, you can contact us on Discord. So the main interesting piece of information we do have on the event is that fall and winter will effectively be a split, I guess you could call it a split event of one large-scale battle.
It's a split theme. I'm
Split
just going to be
theme.
clarifying that right now. They're
Okay.
sharing a theme. There is no evidence so far that it's going to be anything more than them sharing a theme. Because holy crap, when that first came out, everyone was panicking.
Shared
over
ship
it
locks!
being-
Shared ship locks! Oh my god, shared ship... No, no
Everyone
shared
was
ship locks.
Everyone was literally panicking about like how this was going to be a single event split over two. No, it's single team, guys. Chill.
Yeah. I would very highly doubt... I mean, they might do something flavor-wise, but there's... Again, you know, they can prove me wrong, you know, I could get proved wrong all at once, but I highly doubt they would ever do ship locking across events. That would screw so many people over.
Indeed, and it would be really unfair to the people who recently joined in between.
Right, exactly. So, and I believe... Okay, was it ever... I'm pretty sure we can pretty fairly assume this, but was it ever officially stated... I guess they haven't actually said... Okay, Suzuki. Has it ever been Has she been officially announced? She hasn't, has she? It was just the live event that got leaked?
I think it was leaked, yeah. So.
Okay, so technically we don't even know that she exists, but did the live event... Did they say she was coming out in the fall event? Does anyone know?
I'm actually not sure, no.
Okay, so...
I don't remember when they... We know there are, from leaks, there are two new destroyers.
Right.
A British one and
Suzuki, right.
And Suzuki. I don't remember if they also mentioned at the same time which one was being released when.
Right. So we technically don't know. I think it's a reasonable assumption that Suzuki will come in the event, but again, we don't know. Oh god, no. So she'll probably be there. We don't know. We'll see. Also, the British ASW equipment, the new sonars, the ASDIC, and the what was the other one? The Huff Duff.
They're all ASDICs except the last one is the 147 with HFDF.
Yeah. Okay.
Huff Duff.
Right. So those are also out as well. We're not sure if those are those ones they said would be out. What was the wording? By winter or like by the end of winter?
So they said something about the ranking rewards, at least in some capacity, being available by the end of winter.
Okay.
But it wasn't really clear about what they meant. It wasn't clear which equipments. For all we know, it could have been the 124, which we just got.
Right. So
So
we'll see. Maybe they'll be in this event. Maybe they'll be in winter. We'll see what happens. So not too much there. I believe that's about all we have on the event for now. Am I missing anything on event news?
there isn't really anything official, but there's some speculation about stuff. But until so far, with what if we have on hand, it's coming out to be a really weird looking event, in my opinion.
Yeah, we'll have to see. But I think obviously the key piece being, you know, shared theme / split event, whatever you want to call it, being based on a large-scale battle. That's the other question. Did they say it was a historical large-scale battle or not? Did they just say... Okay. So...
No, so we don't even know if it's like if they're gonna actually base it on a real historical battle, or if they're gonna come out with something completely out of nowhere like last summer.
Right. So I'm gonna go against Y7 here for a second and say that theoretically, if they're basing it on a historical battle, I'm gonna use the L word. It could be Leyte, but I'm not saying it will be. But
There's
we'll
also
see.
Philippine
Well-
Sea.
Yeah, there's also
Still
Philippine Sea.
Okay.
There's still two large-scale historical battles that they haven't covered yet, and just if we're going on the same theme of speculation, the problem is neither of them kind of match with the two leaked DDs that we know about.
Right.
So it's weird.
I know we haven't seen any of Leyte. Have we seen any of Philippine Sea?
Don't remember if they ever used any part of it for any event.
Sol, do you have any idea? Or
I
Tsuba?
very much doubt it's going to be Philippine Sea if we're talking about the new rewards.
Well, Sol, your mic just started doing something weird. That was weird. Okay, it seems to have
But
stopped.
basically, But
No,
basically,
somebody called me.
Oh,
so-
okay. Yeah. It's fine now. So, Tsuba, sorry.
So basically, the new DDs all have something do with ASW, especially the British one. So I'm not even sure if it's a reference to Philippine Sea or not. I mean, the Philippine Sea was something about the Japanese getting annihilated and losing their last carriers. So Suzuki might have some part on it, but I'm not so sure about the British DD.
And just going off by themes of last event and where the last event placed us, we're also right in the position, considering how the summer event launched from Singapore, which was a continuation of was it last summer or last fall that it blew up Singapore?
I think that was. I don't
That
remember.
was summer 16.
Yeah,
Okay.
So if they can decide to continue from summer 16 to summer 17, where we leave from Singapore, head to the UK, if they decide to continue on that theme, we're also now in the perfect position for the Battle of the Atlantic, which would then match up with the huge focus on ASW they have right now.
Yeah. So
it's a massive mess with a lot of red herrings right now.
right. Yeah, a lot of interesting stuff coming out. We shall see how that goes in the future. I believe that mostly wraps up our news and current events section with our look backs and hopefully some look forwards on some hints. Now we'll move into our news section that we did not have last time because it was just us three sorry saps doing it. But we do have an official guest interview, exclusive material with. Okay, do you prefer Tsubakura or Tsubakura?
I don't mind either. I mean,
Okay.
you can call me whatever you want.
Okay.
Just don't call me Tuba.
Okay, I'm just gonna call you Tuba anyway. So.
No.
No, wait, no, not Tuba. Wait, Tuba, not Tuba.
Don't call me Tuber either.
Okay. Anyways, Tsubakura. So obviously, moving forward, we will be attempting to have a guest on each episode to both lend their insight to the rest of the sections of the talk, and then also kind of do some direct interview questions with them. So first of all, I'd like to kind of open this up. I have these questions kind of quarantined into like 3 sections. We'll see how this will kind of flow and be a discussion, but we'll see. So my first question is, you talked a little bit about yourself, but more specifically, what is your history with Kantai Collection, and how did you become involved, and why did you become involved in like more of the stats side of the game?
Well, most people might know me back then around Winter 16. That's around time when I made my account and joined Hashirajima. But I actually joined first around January 2014. Like right around when the games started for first.
Really? Huh. I did not know that.
I actually quit it for a long time. I mean, I made an account, but I didn't really play it. So
Right.
I guess I am an old fag, but I am not either.
Right.
Yes.
So how did you transition into being interested in the stats side of the game?
So continuing on with Winter 16, my first event. When I checked the Wikia, I was actually kind of baffled about how the information is handled. With around Spring 16 being a clear example of many things that should be done but hasn't been done. I mean, I can't really blame them. It's a Wikia and an open community, but it's kind of a bummer that there's not really someone, who's like taking charge of the things.
Right.
Or that's how I saw it. I mean, they will probably argue about that's not really true, but yeah, a lot of information that would have been useful during the events were really lacking. Hence why I picked my interest on one of the most important parts, mainly routing.
Right.
Like most people who visit either the Wikia or the NKC Wiki will probably come across those Google submission forms, which I actually still use to this day. which they can manually submit their reports and routing for me to crack those branching rules.
Right. So, kind of branching off of that. Get it? Just a joke.
Tish.
So kind of extending off of that, other than branching, or in other topics, what aspects of the game do you enjoy investigating, or what aspects of the game do you like looking into? Is branching your favorite thing? Is there other things you like doing more?
Well, that would be a continuation of the what I just told you. Like branching was actually one of the first thing I was interested in, but then got to me this realization that not only the branching rules are the things that are going wrong. It's actually the information that's posted on the wiki, like inconsistent information about how to deal with enemies, or what the recommended setup was. I mean, you know what I'm talking about a certain infamous event block. Yeah, I hear you giggle. Yeah, I'm not gonna leave the name out, but I'm pretty sure most of you know who I'm talking about. But like all those mistakes and inaccuracies is what led me to becoming a stat fag, as I call myself.
Right. Kind of. I guess we kind of already went over this, but that's kind of your history of getting involved in the Wikia community and adding on to that. Obviously, I guess multiple months ago now, there was a series of dramatic events, we'll go ahead and say, that's been covered a lot already in other forums, so I think we'll kind of leave that to the side. However, bringing that to present day, what do you consider your current role to be as a contributor, both to the Wikia and to the information community as a whole?
I'm actually kind of laid back nowadays. I mean, like back then I will be editing every day, and like you will see pages change constantly, only to see a history log of me editing several times in an hour without taking sleeps or breaks. That kind of person, but I've been taking breaks once in a while nowadays.
Huh, that's crazy.
I mean, I'm actually kind of regretting it, since the work has been piling up as of late due to all those new mechanics getting introduced.
Right.
But yeah.
And kind of expanding off of that, what do you think, kind of as a blanket question, and like just what your thoughts are in general, but what do you think the Wikia currently does well? What do you think they do poorly? How do you think they can improve? Like, how do you think people can help them with that? Like, what is your overview of the state of Wikia right now?
Considering I'm actually inside the Wikia core, I have a clear grasp as to what's going on behind the scenes. And there's one thing I can say for sure: we clearly need more people handling the matter.
So definitely need more people working on it in general.
Yeah, more manpower.
Right. And kind of branching off of that, kind of the same question. I know you're obviously not as tied in, but what are your thoughts on NKC Wiki? Do you think they have a lot of the same weaknesses? Do you think is there anything they do better, things they do worse? Yada yada yada.
Well, as opposed to Wikia, where everything goes with speed, the information flow on NKC Wiki is more controlled, which can be a good and a bad thing. Good because you will know that someone will double check it and verify it before it get added on the page. But bad thing is, too slow progress can be a turn off to people, especially during events where time is limited.
Right. So, kind of building on that then, do you think that having these two different platforms, one that's a little bit more open and one that, as you say, does a little bit more verification, do you think that's a benefit to the community that we do have kind of two, or do you think that would you ideally rather have one that does it the right way in all cases?
That's a really hard question for me to answer, really.
Dude, come on, loaded questions here. Start firing shots.
Well, I mean, I know where the people of NKC Wiki came from when they introduced the idea of splitting off. I mean, and to be honest, I agree, because I'm kind of pissed at all those crap Wiki pushes on us.
Boom, there's the soundbite right there. 5 seconds, that's all we needed. No, I'm kidding. Continue, sorry.
So, yeah, they constantly break our shit, and on top of that, they keep pushing ads onto the users and viewers, which is also a turn off to the editors.
Right.
I mean, the first most thing I want is accurate information, and second is an enjoyable environment for the readers to view my content.
Right. So would you say that I mean, speaking of the platform, the Wikia platform itself, I mean, obviously I've obviously aired some of my grievances with the platform itself before. Do you I don't really have a question here. The platform sucks. I'm just going to say that. Wikia platform blows. You guys have done a lot of good, cool stuff with it. I think you've, having the way to take the sidebar off and stuff, but man, Wikia just, oh my god.
Yeah, I agree. I don't even know what the people behind them are thinking.
They make money off of it. That's, every community and their brother has a Wikia for their dog.
I probably haven't told you, but we recently had discovered a bug regarding the use of tabbers, and guess who has actually fixed it? Gaka, of our own Wikia staff team, not them.
That's funny.
What was this bug?
It was a bug about tab view overloading, causing the pages not to load.
Was that linked to why you, well, I guess, this is me being stupid partially, but was that linked to why you couldn't link to specific tabs for a little while?
That's another prior, but also the same mistake caused by the people behind the fandom / Wikia, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
I mean, we did implement it, but it somehow got destroyed or broken or whatever. By them.
Interesting. So moving on a little bit to kind of the information gathering that goes on during events. My original question was, what is the overall process for information gathering for events? But that's really open-ended, and we could sit here for an hour talking about that. So I think the better question is, with the way that information gathering currently happens between, all the different places that happens, what do you think that as a community we can do better, and how can people, like an average person that is interested in this, what can people do to help with information gathering during events?
Well, I'll just point the most logical one, and that is work together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in hindsight, it sounds obvious, but like it took us around a year or two before we realized that we should be working together to gather the info.
Right. How much? I guess that's kind of a separate question, but I mean, to the average layman, you just see, a new thing comes out or the event comes out. And the information, eventually appears and it's on the sources. If you had to make a wild guess estimate, from day 0, content comes out to day X, everything, the final documentation is complete of everything. How much would you say that we as the English community do ourselves? How much is we are reusing off of other, the Japanese community?
I would say 90%. No, wait, scrap that. 95%.
95% which way?
That we keep leeching off the Japanese without doing things ourselves.
Yep. Interesting.
I mean, when I compare all the branching rules from the prior years before I actually started actively working on Wikia, I noticed one common thing, and that is that almost everything has been leached off of WikiWiki.
Right.
I mean, it's technically not that bad of an idea. I mean, WikiWiki is still one of the trusted source, not anymore as of late, but still was back then. But yeah, we ought to step up and do things ourselves, and not just let things be solved by the Japanese.
That's pretty interesting. Anybody else, Soul or Y7? Do you guys have any questions you'd like to pick his brain on?
Why Kazumi?
Why not?
I just want to know.
I mean, abnormal hair, cute, sun, cute.
Are you gonna add Sun again?
No.
Like, I guess it's just of all the Sun deities, I've always wondered why Kazumi specifically. Keep in mind that I'm not saying Kazumi's a bad choice, considering how I have her like as one of my most top level deities.
Well,
I mean-
well, it's probably because it's also one of my most memorable ones. Because Winter 16 was the first event I joined using my Hasurijima account, and that event team was Reigo.
Okay.
Well, there you have it, everybody. Insight into the madness behind the tune. Soul, you got anything?
Not really.
Okay, there you have it. Our exclusive interview with Tsubakura. Now we will move on into our themed sections. First of all, we have our history corner with your very own Y7. Y7, what do you have for us today?
Well, today, and I am going to butcher this every time I say it, we are going to talk about, well, very quickly talk about Surigao Strait. Now, it is part of the larger Lake Gulf, and I'm only touching on it because every member of Nishimura Fleet now has a special line referring to the, battle, as much of a battle as you can get. So, basically, this was one of the 3 main battles that happened in Late?
Is it late or is it late?
I am going to butcher that too. But
Is it later?
But as mentioned, it is one of the 3 big battles, and of the 3, it was probably the most one-sided. In case you don't know, Nishimura Fleet consists of Fuso, Yamashiro, Mogami, Shigure, Michishio, Asagumo, Yamagumo. Often, what most people kind of leave out is that they were actually supposed to be supported and followed by Second Fleet, Shima Fleet, which consisted of Nachi, Ashigara, Abukuma, Akebono, Ushio, Kazumi, and Shiranui. So, the whole plan was that they would go up Surigao Strait and then basically meet up with the Japanese center force to have basically form a pincer to cut off the entirety of the U.S. landing forces there. What they didn't expect was that waiting on the literal end, Ash, do you have the image pulled up?
Yep, it's pulled up.
Yep, waiting at the literal end is basically as close to a wall of actual ships that would basically ever happen again. A task force on the Japanese side consisting of 7 ships ran into probably the biggest battleship task force in the area at the time, consisting of more battleships and heavy cruisers than they had entirely as a task force.
Yeah, it was like 7 battleships, wasn't it?
6 battleships.
Yeah.
6 battleships, of which 2 were Big 7 members. And of which, of the 6 battleships, 5 of them actually were damaged or survived or sank at Pearl, only to be rebuilt and brought back in. And it is basically the naval equivalent of the Charge of the Light Brigade. Because, as you can see on the map, coming in, they are basically picked off at every turn. They get attacked by PT boats, which doesn't really do anything, at about 10:30. But by that point, the PT boats have already radioed in the Japanese positions, and it basically only gets worse from there because 3.5 hours later, they get hit by 28 destroyers doing torpedo runs on both sides, on each side of the strait, which basically takes out almost the entire fleet at this point. Fuso sinks, gets blown to hell by multiple torpedoes. Asagumo and Michishio also get blown to hell up by torpedoes. Yamagumo gets hit, doesn't sink immediately, but gets gunned down pretty quickly. Shigure and Mogami survive just the torpedoes, only to run into the wall of cruisers and battleships. And surprisingly, Yamashiro actually survives most of the hits relatively decently until she gets torpedoed and then sinks again. Mogami gets torn to hell. Shigure runs away. That's basically how she survives this entire debacle without really ever getting hit. But the main interesting thing is, this is actually, in the historical context, probably the last significant surface battle that ever happens between battleships. And it's kind of, in my opinion at least, somewhat ironic, maybe fitting. I think the word would be fitting, because the age of the battleship was kind of set off by the Japanese completely destroying the Russians in Tsushima. And at the same time, ever since then, they've always been chasing the whole idea of the decisive fleet battle. And the entirety of the Pearl attack was designed entirely to deny the Americans the ability to perform this decisive fleet battle. And here you have, in the last battleship battle of all time, where almost every ship that they tried to sink at Pearl comes back to basically completely destroy the Japanese in the last surface battle ever. And it's also basically the last time a lot of things ever happen for naval battles. It's the last time anyone ever crosses the T, for instance. It's also the last time any battleship would ever actually directly fire at another battleship. So it's quite fitting, perhaps, that, especially since the anniversary has only just passed, it seems a bit strange to me that they're releasing all these references to Surigao Strait just before an event. Personally, I have speculations about that, but it's certainly strange that they're focusing so much on this one of the decisive battles of the war.
He's saying the event might be late.
No. It's just, for all we know, they might go fully historical again, but the Battle of Surigao Strait is, like I said, as I've mentioned, basically the closing of a chapter on naval warfare, after which we never really see the type of naval gunnery that occurs in the First World War and Second World War ever again. And it's, I don't know, in some ways it's kind of perhaps sad that you would never see the big decisive battle everyone kind of hoped for when the battleships were released as a naval doctrine. Instead, it was always just these one-sided battles, the last of which effectively ended the battleships.
Good stuff. Yeah, that's definitely interesting. You know, it's really interesting to see how much of this history they put into, you know, the game itself, because you have Shigure with a very high luck value, which generally it's either they survived some crazy ass battle or they lived till the end of the war, and you see her getting out of this extremely one-sided battle, and effectively that's why she has, you know, the luck value that she does in the game. So, and unless you have anything else, I believe that is all we have for History Corner today.
Yeah, that's all I got for now. Does Soul or Suba have anything specifically they want to know about the ships involved or anything?
I don't think so. I mean, most of the things you said, yeah. Oh, it
Cool.
kind of ends my questions.
Good stuff. So, oh, sorry. Go ahead, Soul.
I might have had a question about it, but it's mostly linked to if the event would be there then. Because, like, there's, like, some involvement of the PT boats, will we see even more PT boats?
Yes, the PD boats in Surigao were actually pretty ineffective. They didn't really do anything besides harass the Japanese ships for like 3.5 hours and report where they were to the main striking force of the U.S. fleet. So if it happens, if the event, this is all speculation, if the event is based on Surigao, you can expect at least one part of the map to be filled with PT boats. Historically, there were 39 PT boats waiting for the Japanese fleet at the start of the run.
So 3 nodes of PT boats, and then the final battle will be combined fleet with 6 BB Hime, is what you're saying.
Yeah, in a theoretical, it would be a gauntlet of PT boats, then a Yasen battle with a combined with a DD and CL fleet. Then you get a final battle where the enemy fleet's a combined fleet of battleship Himeis and heavy cruiser Himeis.
Oh boy, a PT impact all the way to the boss.
PT Impact, pre-boss of DD, yes, night battles. Not just any DDs, let's make it those really annoying new type DDs too.
Oh yeah, the ones that have the stats of a fucking heavy cruiser?
Yeah.
Very fun, I guess.
Fun times, fun. Yeah, this game is fun, I swear, guys.
And you
I
can't kill
like
them
the name.
without critting them.
It's like literally assault class destroyers.
Yeah. That is funny. So, there we have it for our history corner for the week. Let us move on to our stats corner. And as this week we do have a stats person with us, I believe he will also be assisting, and I believe they are talking about both the addition of plane proficiency to CV cut-ins and possibly a little bit on the new destroyer cut-in, new cut-ins. I don't know, destroyer, radar, whatever you want to call them.
Yes, I guess it's my
Radar?
turn.
I suppose I should be asking you questions since this is like technically my corner, I guess.
However you guys want to do it.
I mean, you're my cute kohai.
Yeah.
Hashtag
So
tip
since they like added some proficiency to the like carrier cut-ins, do you think it's a viable option when you don't need the airstrike as much, or have some small slots you don't expect bombers to do much in?
I actually do think it's viable, especially if the airstrike damage isn't that much relevant anymore as proposed due to enemy having high armor stats. Mainly because the only complaint that we had when the cut-in got introduced, like proficiency not working, has been fixed as of now. So yeah, the cut-in is only better. Like the only downside would be if you're fighting against an installation, in which having a dive bomber prevents the carrier from attacking it.
Right. So I have those 2 pictures up that you linked me right now. The Zuikaku hitting the, I believe that's just a destroyer on 1-1 or something. But what exactly, I assume this 428 damage is very high and not possible without the proficiency bonuses?
That is correct. Without the proficient bonus, damage would be roughly around 350 or so. So basically, the picture is basically proof that a proficiency is fixed on the carry cut-ins. But the thing is, the damage output isn't consistent with what it is calculated in the normal regular shelling attack. Let's see.
It's not proficient with, or not consistent with the regular proficiency bonuses?
Correct. Let me post you my math.
Okay, pull this up.
So basically, like when fighting against a row which has only 6 armor, the damage output should be roughly around this.
Right, so I pulled it up. So it should be... Okay, so in other words, it's still... Okay, interesting.
Like it's inconsistent with the way how regular shelling critical hits are handled. and it's more likely. Well, it's not more like it's definitely it's definitely the fact that the proficiency bonus on carry cadence is lessened when and then in comparison to the regular shelling attacks.
Right.
I'm not sure about other bonuses, but for the critical damage increase, it's definitely proven that it's nerfed in some way. But the good news is that proficiency works once again. So I guess, yeah, it's a win-win still.
I guess it's like point for people who said it wasn't that good before now, so it's. I guess it'll find more use normally now.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, can you are there any examples in, I guess, current world maps where you would say it's definitely superior to use it as opposed to just a normal torpedo bomber setup?
There's an obvious one in which you will actually naturally use dive bombers, and that's 4-5.
Okay.
Because you want your carriers to be avoid shelling the installations, especially
Right.
on the last dance, in order to clear up all the escorts. And having a dive bomber clearly does the job.
And in that case, those escorts that you're trying to clear, especially on Last Dance with the Rukai, they have that high armor you were talking about?
Correct.
Interesting stuff. So we do have a new viable tactic. Of course, we'll have to see in the future if we get event maps where it's the premier strategy. I believe you did just wrap up earlier today the new cut-ins and came to some conclusions about them. Would you like to go over that a little bit?
Sure. Let me pull up the files as well. So basically, the maintenance has introduced us to two new cut-ins during the night battle. They're both only exclusively to DDs. One is the Torp Radar Lookout, which I dubbed the TRL. And the second is the Gun Torp Radar, which I dubbed the GTR.
So, is it correct that it's only one hit?
Yes, it's correct. Both new cut-ins are only one hit. So that's already a kind of yeah, a negative point.
So I'm guessing it wouldn't be that useful unless like the evasion bonus it's suspected to have is very good or something, I guess.
Well, I actually go to that later when I'm going through the analysis.
Okay.
But first, let's check the Guntorp Radar, which is, I think, the first one mentioned in the tweet from the devs themselves. But basically, the first new cut-in requires you to have a main gun, a torpedo, and a radar. I'm not actually sure whether air radar works, as I have used the T-22, but it can be easily tested later. But out of the 106 samples, I've discovered a few shocking things. One of them, which is you just have mentioned, is that it's a single shot. And the second being that the multiplier is only a mere 130%.
And normal night. Go ahead. Sorry.
Only 10% higher than like one of the single shots from a night double attack, which is 120. So.
Yes, correct. Night double attacks is 120% for each shot. So no matter how you slice it, a night double attack deals more damage in general than a single 130 shot, which is kind of a turn off. Another thing I've discovered while testing is while the setup is actually kind of bad, there's another gimmick around it, and that it's also
like,
able to. to trigger mixed cut-ins.
Mixed cuttons.
Yeah, you remember the main gun torpedo combo?
Yeah.
Basically, sorry, go ahead.
Think about that, but I feel like they want to like push setups that can trigger multiple different types of cut-ins, like daytime cut-ins for
Your mic's cutting out a little bit, I think.
For. Oh, like okay, but anyways, like I think it's for how setups can trigger multiple types of cut-ins as long as they fulfill all the requirements for one and not just one high priority one. So.
Well, that is actually true for artillery spotting, but that is not true regarding night battles. In night battles, only the attack with the highest AP rolls.
Right.
After roll, it will turn into a regular attack, and it will not refer to a different type of a night attack.
Right. So these are the first two, yeah.
Yep. So this is actually the first cut-in which is capable of triggering multiple night attacks. But alas, sadly, it doesn't really change much because the first thing, the test used was my level 131 Kachumi with 40 luck, and this has a trigger rate of around roughly 83%. Like 53% consists of the new cut-in, and 30% consists of the mixed cut-in.
So basically, you're saying it does less damage and triggers less often than a night double attack.
Correct. Like a mixed cut-in on its own actually has a much higher cut-in rate. So I have suspicion that this new cut-in actually rolls first before reverting to the mixed cut-in,
right?
Which is actually bad.
I'm expecting them to like change it in some way in the future, as this is like they pre-released it. But if it keeps the current damage modifier, I don't think it will see much use.
I don't think that's yeah, their point either. I mean, it's probably something to buff the abyssals with, and in order to give us a harder time.
Yeah, that was going to be my other question. Are there abyssals that have this setup that are going to be doing this now?
I actually don't know on the top of my head, but yeah, knowing them, it's definitely possible. I mean, they try all kind of things to make it harder for us.
Right. And then, I believe I read your Reddit post about it. You said the other one of the two new ones has high accuracy, though, or something?
That's the other cut-in I'm going to talk about next.
Okay.
But before that, like a common thing on night battle cut-in is that each of them give you a slight accuracy improvement. Except I don't see that in this new cut-in. Like, it's really the same. So yeah, it's a real disappointment. A single shot, a worse trigger rate, and no accuracy bonuses either.
Right.
No extra gimmicks whatsoever, except that it nerfs the mixed cut-in.
So then, what's up with the next one? Do we have a new meta cut-in?
The next one, the Torp Radar Lookout cut-in, is kind of weird. It's also a single shot, and the damage output is only a mere 120%. Basically the same of a single hit of a double attack. However, when testing it, which is I actually have a sample size of 76 now, the hit rate is notably much higher than that of the cut-in of the previous sample, which is kind of nice, I guess.
So I mean that the fact that it has a lookout in it also, could you? I mean, I think people had already been mentioning this, but could you see this being possibly used for like PT boat night battle?
There is a possibility, but then you have to ask yourself: do you really want to nerf the damage of yourself to 120% single shot just
That's
to fight
true.
off some PT boats?
Right.
Like most of the time, the main goal is to kill the boss, not to fight off the PT boats midway.
That's a good point as well. So, I mean, anything else or overall, I mean, other than put him in the trash can with, like, you know, torpedo support fleets, do you have any other comments on both of them?
Well, I think there might be some use to it. I mean, the extra accuracy bonus is really nice, and there's also a suspected, hinted evasion bonus during the
Okay.
night.
Right.
We're having a radar plus lookout bonus, but for its actual uses on the current maps, I don't know. I really have to see it for myself to decide whether it has a use or not.
Right. Anything else on cut-ins, Sol, Suba?
Not really, I guess.
Oh,
Though, I'm looking forward to see what else they do with it.
Right. They did say it was pre-released, so who knows? Like maybe they'll change it or something.
yeah, maybe. Oh, just to add another thing, out of the 76 sample size, the Torp radar lookout cut-in has been triggered only 51 times, 51% times.
Oh, 51% or 51 out of 76?
51%, so
Okay.
around roughly 38 or so. So
Interesting.
even the cut-in rate is similar to that of torpedo cut-in.
Okay.
So yeah, a lot of dubious things about this new thing, even though it has a great bonuses when it triggers.
Interesting. I think that, unless you guys have anything else, I will take that as a no. That wraps up our stats corner for this episode. And then I believe we will move ahead, basically close out here a little bit with our look ahead. We do have the fall event coming up in roughly 2 to 3 weeks. I'll put an asterisk on that. We are not claiming any knowledge of the event date, but probably around 2 to 3 weeks. So we'll see how that comes about. Also, the ranking rewards come out in less than 12 hours now, I would imagine, right?
We picked a great day to record this.
We definitely
Of
did.
course.
So, in less than 12 hours, there will be new equipment, pre-released equipment coming out in ranking rewards that we will not be able to talk about yet, but we'll see how that goes. Everybody look forward to that. Also, looking ahead, now that we do have all of DesDiv 8 finished, what do we think? Anybody have any hopes, wishes, expectations, predictions for the next Kai 2 releases? I know if they keep going with the same ship class, we could see an Arare, but do you think we'll get her? Do you think they'll move on to something else? Any thoughts, Y7?
I still want Arc. I still want Arc Royal K2, but only because when they revealed her at the live event, she had a much different silhouette from the one she has in game. So I'm still stuck wondering what's up with that, even though it was probably like early demo art for proof of concept or something.
No, not because of the Arc Royal / Bismarck fanfics.
We don't
talk about that. Please.
Soul, any ships you'd like to see get a second remodel?
And it's specific ships right now, but I personally would like to see ships or new remodels with new mechanics.
That'd be pretty
Because
interesting.
I always like to see what gimmicks ships have, even if they're completely useless, just so I can like have fun with it in some random way.
Right. Tsuba, any thoughts on what you'd like to have to test a lot of?
Well, actually, it had to do quite a lot, which is kind of bad timing as of now. So I pretty much hope that they won't be releasing new mechanics, which I have to retest all the time. But
Yeah.
what I do hope is that they will complete the Asashio class Kainis. I mean, any DD Kaini would be good. I mean, I like them all, but if they can finish the Asashio class, yeah, it would be good.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I can die in peace.
Dude, I want more Shitatsuyu class K2s, man. We need a Shitatsuyu, we need a Murasame, we need a Yamakaze, all those.
Might as well throw in Kagero K2s.
Yeah, okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Dude, Kagero
Oh,
K2 is a meme at this point.
Soon.
I guess I actually have some ships I would like to see, like some underappreciated ships, actually, so they can get like a new win or something.
Right.
Whatever that metaphor is.
Kuma K2 when?
Never. She's too so strong.
I want
Yeah.
beer cavalry jokes, okay? Come on, guys.
That would be funny. Yeah,
Give Tamak Kaini instead.
yeah. So okay, here we go. We're gonna try something fun. Other than destroyers, what ship class or what is the next ship class that will get a second remodel other than a destroyer? Y7. What's your prediction?
Oh god, don't ask me to predict things. It's gonna turn out wrong all the time. I just mentioned this like an hour ago. Shit. They're actually they don't have that many heavy cruisers left for K2s now that I think of it.
Well, you can embed Pola.
Ooh,
Let's
interesting.
bet Polo.
Okay, you're gonna bet Paul Tsubo. Do you say Polo as well?
No. I mean, I'm just throwing it out there.
Why would
as
you
a
tell me that,
suggestion.
Dan?
I mean, I'm trying to help you there.
Tsubo, what do you think?
Don't.
What I think? That's actually kind of hard. I mean, I would like another DD Kaini, but it will probably something like a BB or a CL.
Oh yeah, we still need. Yeah, I guess they still need to finish Mutsu at some point as well, don't they?
Yep.
Soul, any predictions or once?
I'm going to go with the battleship, actually.
Okay, I like it. Good stuff.
So
So there you have it. Fall event coming up. Some new rank rewards. Hopefully some new second remodels in the future. And I think that is about it. Anybody have any? Anybody have any last words before we sign off? Y7?
Don't try to-
tough.
Go
Don't
ahead,
try to
Sam.
night battle PT imps unless you have to.
I would tend to agree with that. Y7?
No, I don't think I got anything, but
Cool.
I'm definitely expecting whatever this next event is going to be. We're going to see more of those CL class DDs.
Yeah, those were some fun times.
They're not
Yeah.
going away now.
Yeah.
I just pray we never see that goddamn sub lolly again.
Oh yeah, we'll
Oh.
see her again. I'll bet you.
Yeah,
Every
definitely.
node free boss, totally.
She will come back to haunt you in your dreams, especially since ASW are reward items.
Oh god, yeah. Tsuba, any last words for your adoring fans?
Good question. I actually never thought about saying anything.
Well,
in the end.
I would like to
Okay.
say thank you, Tsubakura, for being a guest today and letting us pick your brain and helping us out with some new stats. Thanks again to my co-hosts Soul and Y7 for helping out to produce this. And thank you everybody who will be watching this on YouTube or listening on SoundCloud. That will be about it for episode 2 of KC Insight, and we are signing off.